Hello and welcome once again to the Far From Normal Radio Show. I am your host, Jay Moss. And as always, I have my brother, Mr. Bud Vino. Bud, how are you doing this evening?
Yo, my brother from another mother, Jay, Buddy Moss. Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. As always, Jay, bringing the energy and our brother, Mr. Andy Davis. How you doing, brother?
Man, I don't know if I'm as revved up as you are. It's cold and raining here, but I'm glad to be on the show. A topic today that I don't really, I know about because suffered it, but I'm glad to be here and I'm glad you guys know about it.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people out there right now tonight that you may or you may not know that you're suffering from this, but it's called legal abuse syndrome. And really it's derived from PTSD. So basically it's a derivative. You're experiencing the same symptoms of PTSD, but the issue is you would not have experienced these issues of PTSD if you were not drug in, constantly berated, losing constantly when you walk into court. The family court system has caused this mental stability issue where you have anger, you have anxiety, you have depression, everything that you go through outside of the family court or that you experience inside of family court. Because I can tell you, I suffer from this particular issue, and I have suffered from this particular issue extremely for a very, very long time. When I was going through the issues, doing my stuff pro se by myself, and felt, and I'll be quite honest with you, there's a lot of people that experience this issue because we don't have other people joining us in family court. You are there by yourself. You walk in and you experience these issues as if you're naked as the day you were born. And they treat you that way, like you are a slave, like you are a pardon the phrase, but a redheaded stepchild. They treat you like that in the family court. They berate you. They call you names. They burden you with information that you can't understand because you don't have that legal training nor knowledge. And then you experience all of this anxiety each and every time you have to walk into the family court. You have nightmares about it. You can't concentrate or work on anything on a consistent level because you have experienced this so very severely, and compounded with the fact that you have to either not see your children or see your children part-time. That is something that is almost impossible for some people to overcome. A lot of people who experience this legal abuse syndrome really have turned to suicide. Which is not a good option. It is no option. As Randy has said before, this is a temporary fix to a long-term problem. Okay, so we're going to bring these issues out to you tonight, and we're going to talk about legal abuse syndrome because it is an actual issue that a lot of you experience, and we want to talk about it, and we want to get it out there, and we want to help you in any way possible that we can. But the best way we can get it out there and we can talk to you about it, that really opens up the door for you to come to a solution of a problem that has hindered you and hurt you for so very long. Okay, so when we talk about this, yes, there is a difference between PTSD and LAS, which is legal abuse syndrome. Okay. And like I said before, the issue is you would not have experienced the PTSD symptoms that you currently experience if it wasn't for the family court system alone. So this really takes PTSD and says, hey, look, here is the portion right here that nobody would experience this if they didn't have to go through the problems and the issues they have to go through in family court. Okay. So we are going to break that down a little bit for you. We're going to talk about it a little bit with you. We have done a lot of homework on this particular issue. Karen Huffer has written a book called Parental Alienation, or I'm sorry, Legal Abuse Syndrome. And she actually has it out there on Amazon, I believe. It's $22.89 on paperback. It's a great book. It's 8 steps for avoiding the traumatic stress caused by the justice system. Let me see if I can share this for you. It is a great book, and we've actually invited Karen to come on, but she wasn't able to come on this evening. But we will have her on in the future. But here is the actual book here, Legal Abuse Syndrome, on Amazon. It is a very, very good book. I have read excerpts from it. I haven't read the entire book, but it's very, very good. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give my co-hosts here an opportunity to kind of talk from their perspective about some of the things they've been through with the family court system as well. Go ahead, bud.
Well, thank you. First of all, hello everybody out there in Facebook land and everywhere else. First of all, Jay, I think a lot about the first person that came to mind is MJ Rutledge, our friend MJ, because she puts a lot of the empowerment things out. And thinking about everything in life, you only get better at anything when you practice. So, and you get confident with practice and knowledge and education. So a lot of times what you have to understand with this, when you're talking about these sort of legal abuse syndrome, the legal abuse syndrome itself, it can come from a variety of different, it's not just family court. It can come from any sort of legal abuse.
Right.
You have to know how to play the quote unquote game. You have to know that a lot of times that's the goal of a lot of these attorneys. Unfortunately, that's the goal, is to try and break you. And if you're not educated and you don't know what's going on, they can easily do that. So I'll go to you, Randy, and say, I think first off, knowledge is power. Educating yourself and empowering yourself are your first steps, Randy.
No doubt about it. And folks, look, sometimes you see us on here and I'm carrying on, rev it up, this, that, and the other. But there are some serious, serious things that happen to you when you're in one of these cases. Normally, a lot of people look at us and are just like, oh, they got their stuff together and they're just going out, or they're going after this one, or they're going after, quote unquote, that one. I'm telling you, we know a lot more is going on than what we just put out there. And we know that you're hurting. You know, we're just like everybody else. We were hurting too. I still hurt because of what happened to me. I didn't know there was a name for it. I didn't know there needed to be a name for it. I really, truly didn't know that there needed to be a term coined in order to describe what it is for a court system to destroy you with falsified information, allegations, accusations, and sometimes charges. In my case, and those of Neil Shelton, we went to jail, you know, and jail is no fun. I went to jail for 5 months with no order. How can you possibly, and did a writ of habeas in order to get out. But how do you possibly think you can be normal? Or if there is, I don't even believe there is such a thing as normal. But if you could be back to where you were, how can you possibly do that after the system you kind of felt was there as a support and felt was there as a legitimate means to get justice? How do you possibly overcome that after you've been put in jail? You've been accused. You've had your children taken. Some of you have had custody changed over to a truly abusive parent. A lot of women, I see it all the time. They go to the system. They finally break away from an abuser. And once they break away from the abuser, they go to social services. When they go to social services looking for help, like you're supposed to do, like you're told to do, all of a sudden it's all spun on them. And then the abuser is the good guy. And the perpetrator becomes the mother. In some cases, it becomes the father, whoever speaks out. And then the court moves the child over to a bad parent. So what happens? I can tell you what I felt when DSS came at me in retaliation is I felt guilty. I felt mad. I felt perplexed because I thought, man, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. to make sure I'm obeying all the laws. I'm doing the right thing. I'm at Donuts for Dads. I got a daughter who's National Honors Award winner, all honors classes. She's doing great. She's healthy. She's happy. And in they come. So it makes you think, man, no matter what I do, I'm never going to win. And I'm telling you, some of you are in the positions of your cases, and I watch it. Bud watches it, Neil and Jay watch it. You're at a point where you're like, what good does it do to go to court? What good does it do to follow the rules? What good does it do to follow a case plan? Because no matter what I do, they're gonna constantly run me down. They're gonna send me to their psychologist, and he's gonna can me on a psych eval, which happens a lot of times. They're gonna spin out anything good. My exculpatory evidence is not put in. Anything that they made up that's bad, they write up in a report as though it's the gospel and carved into stone. So we know what you're feeling. And now we know there's a term for it. Some of you who may be on the edge right now, we've had a lot of rain in North Carolina. I know a lot of you have had snow, flooding. It's like been biblical weather events, which also make you feel bad. Then your friends look at you differently. You know they do. They may be your friends, but that's another part of this, Jay, that I think it hurts whenever you think you have friends and then something happens and you're like, I didn't do anything. Well, he must have done something, because they can't just do that. But they do that.
They do that.
And I hope that we are able to bring about some healing for a lot of people with this show. I do, including me. I want to learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Randy,
go ahead.
Jay, if I could, Randy, first of all, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we're learning every day. We've said a lot, Jay. When you think you know it all and you stop growing, you die. And that's what's great about this too. We learn from each other all the time. Jay and I think we talked till around midnight last night. Yep. And some of it were things in terms of solution. We see Randy mention all the time, more so than we'd like. And that's not besmirching anybody out there. That's saying we don't like to see the pain, but it's there. I saw this morning somebody wrote, and I won't name any names in this. Somebody had written, it was a gentleman who was going back and forth with someone. What's the sense of any of them? I'm just a walking piece of meat at this point. And It broke my heart. You know why? Because he believed it. I could feel it. And that's where it starts, because I've been there, folks, and Randy's talking about Jay. I've been naked with nothing. No home, no vehicle, no food, no hope, no nothing. And what keeps you going? Say, well, what is it that keeps you going? Because there's people out there that are in those positions right now, Jay. We know it. We see it every day. We have people that email us every day, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. How do you do it? Number one is faith. And you hear that, it seems somewhat of a cliche and a flimsy word, but you have to know better is coming, Jay. And we say this a lot. Things change in an instant. And if you stay true to you, don't sell out. If you stay true to you, keep doing what's right, and keep educating and empowering yourself. If you have issues, if you're out there, we know, Jay, we see it all the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there dealing with their pain through substances. People have substance issues. If that's the case, address it and fix it. Whatever someone's using, if it's legitimate ammo in court, the only way you're going to discuss it with my wife tonight. We talked about this. Love my wife. I like to brag about her. The only way you're going to change perception is you change reality. So when someone says you have to look sometimes, I don't mean believe everything people say, but if there's something that you know is true, that you got to fix, and people rag it, you take away that power of theirs to go like this. You fix, and then you say, hey, this is the last time we're addressing this. This is the last conversation we're having about this. And you legitimately fix yourself, and you change that perception by changing reality, Randy.
Absolutely, you do. And folks, I'm going to tell you a little story. And this is, and honestly, I know I love the internet. I love YouTube, Facebook, digging around. But I'm telling you, get a good book. There's a book, Think and Grow Rich. And in this book, because what Bud is saying is absolutely true. No matter what you think, you're right. If you think, oh, I'm no good, I'm going to fail, and you start asking yourself disempowering questions like, why am I so terrible? Why did I mess up so bad? Why is everybody else so much better than me? You're going to lose because you lose hope. Now, let me tell you a story that was in this particular book. And this was one of the first books I ever read. Going through school, I could fly through school and not study. It drove the teachers nuts. And they were like, if you just focus, well, it turns out I'm ADHD. So I wasn't going to focus, but I could just look, I could skim a book and pass any test. I just could. But the first book that I read cover to cover, one of the first ones was called Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. And Dr. Napoleon Hill was hired by Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate for U.S. Steel, to actually go out and find successful people and find failures. And then do a book, and it took him 20 years to do it, as to what makes one person successful and one person a failure when you're living in the same exact country. And he interviewed Thomas Edison and several, but the story I'm going to tell you is this, and it's a quick one. But there was a guy who was a railroad engineer who worked on railroad cars, and he worked on refrigerated railroad cars. And this guy was working on a refrigerated railroad car, and he got trapped inside of the car. Well, the guy had a pencil and a paper in there for whatever work he was doing, and he kept writing things, and he's like, it's getting colder. So he's in there writing about how he's starting to lose the feeling in his feet. He's starting to feel hypothermia coming on. Then he starts saying, I know I'm about to die. I know the end is coming soon. And then he froze to death and died. Now, why is that relevant to Think and Grow Rich, or what you think is what's going to happen no matter what it is? The reason is because the railroad car was broken. The refrigerating unit did not work. It didn't drop below 50 some degrees in there. The man did not, literally, he did not freeze to death. He psychologically convinced himself he was freezing to death and dying, and he froze to death and died. I'm telling you, out of that book, you'll learn things like what the mind of man can believe and conceive, it can achieve. You can overcome any syndrome that's brought up. You can overcome any obstacle if you believe that you can overcome that obstacle. So don't give up hope or faith, and just understand that thoughts are things. They literally are things. If you want to make something happen in your life, you're going to have to think it into existence and then take massive action on it and start acting happy even when you're not happy. You're going to have to ask yourself better questions, such as, why am I lucky enough to wake up in the best country on earth? Why am I lucky enough to have good health today? Why am I lucky enough to have another day to fight against that which has came against me? And if you don't find a way to do that, these people and this system is designed to utterly destroy you, and they will.
And they will, Randy. Thank you, Jay. Quickly, with what Randy said too, and you guys will concur with us, it's you've got to know your self-worth. That's where it starts, because, and we've talked, Randy, ad nauseum about that repetition. And that repetition is worse in your own head. And we two, all three of us have done it. When you start, and Randy, the older we get, the more we see that Randy's words are absolutely true. Words are things. Thoughts are things. That repetition, I tell people all the time, when you're in touch, the same reason I give a shout out to Jeremy Lamar. Same reason I give him messages, or people messages out there of repetition of their greatness. Because because in our own minds, when we're down, most of the time it's at negative. You gotta get out of that. You gotta know your self-worth. That's where it starts. MJ Rutledge, I always think of MJ because she loves that. There's people out there, Wendy Perry has a parental alienation with our friend Ken Pascal out there. Go and watch Wendy Perry tomorrow. When you're down, you don't feel like doing anything. Force yourself. Go and watch Wendy. A positive, smart person and Ken. People out there doing things like that, positive things that are just making a difference. We all have our niches. You got to find yours. We all have things we can do better than anybody else. We all do. We all have that thing we were born inside of us. And it's true, somewhere along the way, we lose that fire. Why? Because we start to believe what other people say about us and to us. I say all the time, if someone's negative, that's it, over. You have every bit of power on how you react or don't react. Every single bit of you. Let it bother you, and that's exactly what it is. No one hurts you. No one hurts you at all. No one says things that hurt you. You allow that to hurt you.
Right.
Jay, what is it? Be like Teflon, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It's not going to change what I do at the end of the day, what someone says about me, or they don't think this or that, or if they think I'm wonderful. That's not going to change anything either. So it doesn't matter unless you allow it. So you got to go and start with, as Randy said, even if you don't want to be happy, start getting up. And I say it all the time, and you'll think it's foolish, especially the most depressed people out there, to go in the mirror and put your hands on that sink or wherever you are, in your car. Again, Randy, if you're lucky enough to have one, when it's raining, if you have no place to go, you have a car, you have legs. I wake up every day excited. You know why? Because I didn't think I'd be here this long. I wake up and I go, holy shit, I have lungs. I'm here. Holy shit, I'm alive. And I'm thankful. You know why? Because there were years where I wished I was dead, just like some of you out there. And you can't, and then still we have self-doubt, guys. I'll end with this, Jan. I'll let you take over. To personalize, as Randy said, people think that we're always, how many times, Jay, in 2.5 years have I called you with self-doubt before shows? More than once, right? More than once. With going, I don't even know anymore, because during this we go through things too. We're our own battle. What is all this for? And I see it all the time. Why? You just got to stay with it. Stay plugged in. Have that faith, Jay Moss and Randy, wrap it up, Davis, that you will succeed beyond anyone's words and any bullshit or what they say about you. Don't let that shit stick. Smile, because you know you do have a silver ball. You know that things are going to work out. You know, and you stay on that course, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And while we're on the issue of book plugging here, I'm going to go ahead and plug a little book here by Neil Shelton. Also, you'll notice that our co-host who's off right now is because he's doing a lot of plugging of this book right now. That he's got 2 books actually that are coming out. Growing Up Mayberry, Just the Facts, Volume 1, Neil Shelton story. Amazing. I've read like a lot of this book already, and I'm learning so much about Neil and what he's gone through. It's just amazing. But then also Growing Up Mayberry, Just the Facts, Volume 2, Annihilation, which will be coming out soon as well. So big book plug out here for Neil Shelton. He's doing amazing stuff behind the scenes, guys, and he will be back shortly with us. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that what Randy and Randy and Bud just said to you that are absolutely 100% fact. The issues of legal abuse syndrome, these things right here, many times, litigation is combined with the changes that life brings to you and the stress that can come on, the depression. I think that these things right here, compounded with the fact that you have to deal with the day-to-day things that you have to deal with, are tremendously challenging. But there's nothing that you can't overcome with these things. I think a lot of the times there's a lot of people that especially Christian people, we say Christian people, those that believe in God or believe in Jesus Christ as their Savior, or whatever it may be, or, even if you don't, I really believe that we are put in a particular time and in a particular place for a particular reason. And you may be struggling or going through something right now, but it's all to learn a life lesson so that you can do something in the future with it. I don't think that we're randomly put in a place and a time for no reason.
In saying that, Jay, and this is it's easy to say when you're up, but in saying that, you have, wherever you are right now, keep in mind what Jay said and having that faith in that knowing. Wherever you are, it's exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Whatever you're, even after you're like, oh my God, I'm out, I'm soaked, I stink, I haven't eaten, I'm starving. You know what happened with me? I started, instead of feeling that pity, I started to go, wow, I got up the next day after suffering and I was still awake. And then I started to take it as a challenge. Let's see how much I can take. Let's see. And then you just make it toughen you up. Okay, you can't break me. Start letting it make you cocky. Not cocky, but confident. Right, Jay?
Yep.
Confidence always looks like arrogance to the insecure. J Moss. So
well, what does it Kid Rock says? What does it Kid Rock says? It's not cocky. You can back it up. That's right. So that's the thing, and I'm going to give you some hints here. I think that might be able to help you. Number one, choose your battles carefully. Choose what battles you want to get in very, very carefully. If you need treatment, or if you feel it, if you can't deal with the anxiety that you're dealing with, or if it's causing panic attacks, or thinking, like you want to commit suicide or things, get treatment and get it fast. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to take medication, whether it's for body or mind, but make sure you're taking that medication as prescribed, and don't be on it for a long time, because that can end up causing you issues and problems as well. Make sure that you're doing it as you need to do it, and then wing yourself off of that. Okay.
Yeah, and as we say, Jay, I'm sorry, I'll let you before I walk on you as usual.
It's not a problem.
You, in my opinion, if you, as Jay said, as needed, if you're in a real, per a doctor, but try and get yourself unclouded. You can't fight properly, in my opinion, if your judgment's clouded, or your courage is hindered, or your all that. So for me, I like to get yourself, and again, some people it's needed. Certain things are needed, yes, in certain times. I don't judge because I don't live anyone else's life.
Yep.
But that being said, for yourself, because I know for me too, back years ago when I was on different medications, I used to always wonder when I'd have good days, Jay, if it was really me, or if it was just what was in my system. So when you get that out of your system, there's nothing more freeing. When you go, oh, wow, I'm just awesome. There's nothing more to it. I'm just awesome. You say it every day. I'm awesome. As Randy said, even when you don't feel it. And I talked about Jeremy Lamar earlier today. You just say your name, right, Jay? I'm Jay S. Moss. I'm Jay Moss. And you'll start to feel it. And you'll start to get emotional. It's people I know that have contacted me. Wow, I was doing it and laughing, and I was crying at the same time. I said, effing perfect. Perfect. That's called cleansing.
Yep. Yeah, and I say it all the time, and I say it goofily. I'm not being arrogant or anything when I say it, but if something goes well, and I'll say something to one of my friends or whatever, and I'll say, I'm awesome, just ask me. And it's just something that pumps yourself up to say, hey, yeah, I am worth it. I am cool,
Not arrogant. Yeah, you are awesome. And people go, oh, I don't want to brag. Why not? Are you awesome? Do you do things that help this world? Do things in this world? If you're not loving and you're not doing things to help people better themselves, you're not living.
Exactly.
Are you doing to better this world, to feel better? I say it too, be selfish. Do things that make you feel good, genuinely.
Yeah.
Not because you want everyone else to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, everyone thinks I'm great. You'll have that inflated head, but it's not real. Someone can just pop it in an instant by telling you you're nothing. Have that genuine confidence. Jay, what do we say too? That unknown quote. When you hold your own happiness in your hands, no one else can drop it, right, Randy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the 10 natural laws. There's another book written by Hiram Smith, who created the Franklin Day Plan. And there's a book called The 10 Natural Laws of Success. And it's really about time management, which you learn there is no such thing as time management. And whenever you read this book, you learn that there's event control. And what I mean by that is, and that kind of shook me, because I was always trying to figure out, how do I get more things into a day? And a lot of us, once we're caught up in this court system, that's what we're trying to do, is figure out, how do I do more and how do I learn more? Where's the magic, the golden ticket, as they lied about in Ronnie Davis's thing down in Florida? Where's that one thing? Well, what you find is you can't manage time, because whether you're Kanye West, you're Donald Trump, you're Bud Vino, you're Jay Moss, you're Randy Davis, they're 24 hours today. It doesn't matter. We can't make it be 25. But what you can do is decide which events to partake in today. And I assure you, one of the things that snaps me out whenever I get in is I start to write down, what am I doing every hour of the day? And if you find yourself dwelling on bad situations or looking for the bad in the world, 6, 7 hours a day, I will assure you, you're going to start to go downhill.
Mhm.
The other thing I've learned is this, and it used to be that it was that there's two things that really determine where you are in life, and those are your associates, your friends, those you associate with, and the books you read. So the books you read now has changed to the articles you read, or those you follow on Facebook, or those you read their opinions, and whatever you do to improve yourself and learn, and whoever you associate with, if you'll show me those two things, I'll tell you how you're feeling today,
Mhm.
and we'll have a pretty good guess at your bank account as well. And what happens, folks, is this: we have some well-meaning friends, but when we're down, we don't want to be around people that are happy. I'm just telling you, you don't. It's unnatural. You're like, my God, they don't understand how I'm feeling. I know for me, I'll speak for me. Andy and Pam Norris, the Croatan Indians, they pulled me up. But when I was around them, they're like, hey, come on over. We're having a cookout. And I was like, how can I think about a cookout? I didn't say it to them. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So begrudgingly, they would have me out either going to the beach and fishing or going over to a cookout. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, I'd rather just stay at home and be miserable until I figure out how to get my daughter back. And I thought I could just think my way out of this. And you know what, folks? Sometimes you got to swallow it up, go to where they're going to challenge you and say, look, man, you need to snap out of this. What you're doing is not right. This is not like you. This is not the you we know. And it's hard to put yourself in that situation because you don't want to have to hear the people that you care about and you know care about you tell you that you're being silly and you're drowning in your own misery. But sometimes we got to bust out and go to these people and then get out there and have them give us some honest critique on what we need to do. Now, granted, a lot of times we get hammered on here because we have strong opinions on things and we put them out there. And then we'll hear things such as, well, you shouldn't have said it like that. You should have said it like this. Or, why go out? Why don't we all just get along? The reason why we can't all get along is because the ideology, the thinking, the moral, the values are inconsistent in such a way that you can never make it be compatible to what it is we're doing. And we're not perfect, folks, but look, what we're saying is we're holding ourselves to a higher standard. And when we see something blatantly wrong, we call it out. And you can't, everybody wants us to call it out when it's the government doing it, or it's a bad GAL, or it's a bad judge. But you got to call each other out, either in private or if they're blatantly wrong in public, you got to call it out, and it helps you. It's you taking a stance and saying, these are my boundaries. You're not going to come across my boundary line without it creating a penalty for you. There's going to be a repercussion if you do this. So the legal abuse syndrome extends further than in a courtroom or in a CFT or a CME. It extends out to the people in some of these groups who are perpetrating the same thing on people with seriously flawed advice and character assassination for no reason. So those are things that we can help you with. We're not lawyers. We don't give you legal advice. But chances are, if it's happened to you, one of us has already found the fix to it, and there's no need in reinventing the wheel.
Right. 100% right. And I think that kind of leads us into the next thing, and the next sound piece of advice that we have for you on legal abuse syndrome and how to get out of it is stop expecting people out there to be as outraged as you are. That the family courts are violating your constitutional rights. Look, I've experienced this, and I know that Randy has, I know that Bud has, I know that all of us kind of have, where you walk into a family court and you're dealing with these things, and really they don't, and I say this with a word of caution because I'm going to have somebody jump on me, but quite frankly, they don't give a damn about your constitutional rights. What they are there to do is follow the administrative procedures. That is their job, is to follow the administrative procedures, which say, if so-and-so happens here, so-and-so happens there, this is what we do in this particular instance. Because that's how they get paid a lot of the times in the family court. Now, do you have good judges and do you have good lawyers out there that want to buck that system? Absolutely. And they're condemned a lot of the time for doing so. They are.
Absolutely. And Jay, I know exactly what you're saying because there are going to be some that jump up. Jay said the Constitution does not apply in family court. He never said that. What we are saying is this. I personally sat on the stand testifying, getting in evidence in my own case when a GAL, a guardian ad litem attorney advocate, is standing before the judge and says, Your Honor, if Mr. Davis will forget about he and his daughter Cheyenne's Fourth Amendment rights, this will go faster. And I look at the judge and I'm like, am I seriously hearing this? And the deal is this, folks. We're telling you, and I'll tell you specifically, I've seen the training manuals for DSS. And whenever you pull them up, they are trained not to violate the Fourth Amendment rights. That's a constitutional right. As best I can figure, it's in the Bill of Rights. So there it is that they're not to violate it, and they're told not to, and they're taught not to. But when they get in there, they do as they please. They do as they please because everybody's gotten used to them doing as they please. And Jay is right. Don't run east looking for a sunset. You're not going to find it no matter how hard you run. When we're out here looking for our buddies, our fishing buddy, our hunting buddy, the Zumba class girls you go to Zumba class with or whatever, and you're expecting them to understand what it is you're going through, I'm going to be honest with you, most of them don't care. I'm going to say some harsh stuff here. Most of them don't care. They like you, but number one, they're afraid if they do anything to become involved, they may come after them or a loved one if what you're saying is true. That's number one. So they fear. Number two, they don't have a dog in the fight. So the best thing to do is just say, hey, yeah, I'm with you. That's a terrible thing, blah, blah, blah. But they're not going to get up and march with you. They're not going to get up and do anything with you because it hasn't yet, and the key word is yet. It hasn't yet hit home, but it will hit home to somebody they know. You have no idea, folks, how many people who stood by, and I was thinking, man, why would they do that? Why would they stand still when they know what I'm saying is true? I shouldn't be involved in this, but they stood still. And you know what? They were the first ones to call me when it hit their house or their brother's house or a niece or nephew. And the thing that makes some people angry or a little peeved with me is because I just be blunt with things and put it directly to it. Look, you're screwed. You got a nasty ass case here. Your husband is a terrible person, and the things that he's doing are what are screwing you over, and you went along with it. You closed your eyes. So it hurts their feelings, but it also gives them reassurance that Randy's not going to lie to you. Randy's going to tell you the truth. It may hurt your feelings. It may not make you feel goody-goody inside, but the first thing you have to do, folks, in order to get to where you want, if you got a map, that's nice. But you know what? The best map in the world, or any of the maps, maps.com, any of these other things, if you can't put in your starting point, you cannot. I don't care how good you are at putting in the destination. Well, I want to be at Jay's house. I want to be far from normal. Okay, but it's going to have a second box there. And that second box has got to be filled in, or you're not going to get any direction whatsoever. You're going to know where you're going, but you don't know how to get there. You do not know how to get there. So first find out where you are, and you've got to accept where you are as being the truth. And it's cold, it's harsh, it hurts, it sucks. So if you screwed up, you got to say, you know what? I screwed up, but I'm better than that. I knew better than that, but I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to pay my penalty for having done this, and then I'm going to move forward to where I want to be. and then reach out to somebody like us. And you know what? Anybody who does that has never been turned away. And all of us have tried to help them as best that we could with good guidance and direction and suggestions.
Yep, absolutely. Bud, go ahead.
Thanks, Jay. You used an A word, it being acceptance. It's synonymous with what I was going to use as acknowledgement. That's the first step, and that's in reference to what Randy was saying, acceptance, acknowledgement. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So you fix within you what you can fix and go from there. You've got to acknowledge really hard things, really difficult things sometimes, but how bad do you want it? Sit down and map things out. And it doesn't, people tend to put big things, Jay, you know, today I'm going to do this and tomorrow I'm going to conquer the world. No. But even if you're homeless, hey, Jay and I have both washed up plenty of times in gas station sinks. So you go, okay, well, yesterday I didn't feel like washing. Today I'm going to do that. I'm going to clean myself up. That's the key. Get yourself physically, you've got to start to feel good about yourself no matter where you are right now. You have to have that faith again. Things are going to get better. So you got to acknowledge issues, fix those, leave them in the dust. And Randy talked about that blatantness. That's true. I've had, it's difficult sometimes, Jay, for people to hear. But it's, you know, I've said many times to people, yeah, you've got quite the hill to battle, you know, because people want to hear, oh, this is a lot better than it looks. No, this is going to be a bitch. I've said to people, harder than any fight you've ever had to fight in your life, right, Jay? I always pull those Rocky lines. This is Rocky. It's going to be like the worse than any nightmare that you've ever experienced. Jay, Randy talked about even family members turning. People that you always, for the most part, the majority of people are sheep. And that includes a lot of family members. Don't think just because they share your blood, they're always down for you. Be careful of anyone around you. Watch real closely for the people who do and don't clap at your success.
Yep.
Watch
100%. 100% right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Jay, quickly what I was going to say too. If I come to you, Jay, and I give you advice or vice versa, or Randy comes to me with something or a concern or anything or vice versa, any of us, we really listen to it. Why? Because we're very honest with each other and we know we have each other's best interests at heart. Now we'll go back to what Randy said, knowing your circle. And this includes family members. We've said for years, Jay, what do we call them? The yeah, but people, right? But I had a great day. Oh, hey, Jay, but I had a great day. I had this happen. I'm so happy. I've never felt more happy. Yeah, but be careful, Jay. Don't be too friggin' happy. It's one thing to keep someone grounded if they have unrealistic expectations or things, but be very careful the yeah but people in your life. Again, family members too. And Les Brown talks about this a lot. Family members can hurt you the worst, or close friends. Why? Because they know you're the best and they know what makes you tick. And they'll unfortunately try and hit you exactly where that nerve ending is, exactly where it stings, especially the people that have always kept you down with certain finger pointing. Or, oh, you're always like, and when you start bettering yourself, watch for the people that have always said they want to see you better yourself. And then when you start to do it, they start to kind of, well, wait a minute. Some people just like to say they like to see you better because it makes them feel better about them. So then so watch for those people that are like, get up, come on, let's go. That really want to say, yeah, keep kicking ass. And Jay and Randy and I, we all know that about each other. And Jay knows seriously and vice versa. Why? Because we care and we're honest with each other. So again, back to that circle. Don't have friends that'll just bullshit you. Jay and I have had arguments more so because on both ends, sometimes it's hard to hear certain truths because we know we love each other. And if we come to each other with certain truths, it's usually there's reason for it. But we've also learned this, Jay. We talked about this even just last night, to let people be who they are. Jay has different things that drive him, and Randy has different things that drive him. And I have different things that do or don't drive me. So you can't try and control someone and mold them into what you think they should be. So again, keep pushing. And again, watch for that circle. Let people be who they are. And again, let go of certain things. You can't, we talked about it with Dr. Mark. You can't fix people. Yeah, you can just give them the tools, but you can't be in them. You can't help them apply.
Right.
So again, watch for those circles and keep yourself empowered. How you do it is you keep it positive.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truth to what Randy and Bud just said here, and I think that there's a lot of things that we get into in our own personal lives, or we get into our own personal head and we say, well, why don't my family members stand up for me more? Why don't my friends stand up for me more? Why don't they understand what I'm going through and back me up? And it's a lot of what Randy said earlier, is no one wants to get personally involved until they are personally affected. So our job is to help them understand something that they don't know, is that they already are personally affected. When we talk about Title 4D of the Social Security Act, Title 4D and E, hey, look, your Social Security is being robbed from you each and every time that you get a paycheck. That Social Security is being robbed. And you know why? It's because each and every dollar that's collected on child support is, in a lot of states, even now, I'm going to give you Texas, for instance, $11 per dollar that's collected in child support goes to the state, to help them balance their budget. So your Social Security is being robbed every single time that you get a paycheck. A lot of people don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't feel like they're personally involved. Yes, you are. You are personally involved. Your money is being robbed from you each and every time you get a paycheck. And the reason is because we have to have child support orders. We have to have children being taken from good parents. And I think it's absolutely wrong. Now, is the Department of Child Family Services, is there a lot of them that should be taken? Absolutely. If you are neglecting your child, or you are a pedophile, or you have done something absolutely wrong and not taking care of your child the right way, yes, your child should be taken from you. And you should not come into this movement and claim that you are anything other than what you are. That's what we're telling you right now. I cannot, and Randy cannot, and Bud, and anyone out there, we cannot help you if you do not admit, look, I had a drinking problem. They took my kids. Look, I had a drug problem. They took my kids. Look, I paid more attention to work than I paid to my children. That was a problem. They took my kids. I didn't do the right thing. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I have to admit that. That's where you are now. Your children have been taken. That doesn't mean you have to stay there. And how you get out of that, and how you become a good parent to your child and get your children back, is not by following this golden ticket, bloody thumbprint, crazy nonsense out there that the banks own me and own my birth certificate and all of this crazy nonsense. It's, look, I made a mistake. I own up to it. I am a man or I am a woman. I messed up, but I'm going to fix it. I'm going to become the person that I want to be. This is all goes back to the same phrase. Be the change in the world that you want to see. Don't let it be somebody else changing the world for you. No one else can come in and win your children back. We can't say, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to get your children back. You just listen to me and I'm going to do this for you. It doesn't work that way. What you do as an advocate is you say, I'm going to help you by empowering you to study on your own and learn the things that you need to learn to fight in court for your own children. And you will win your children back, not us. It never happens.
Absolutely. And guys, look, I want to explain something. We're not naive. We understand what goes on in courts. And I can tell you, I just had a conversation, and it's about the case you always hear me talk about, the twins in North Carolina. And there are big things going on in there. But I want to give you one example. Not only was I thrown off the stand while getting evidence in, not only did they search the courtroom twice after making me leave, thinking I had bugs planted in there. They literally did, Lee County, North Carolina. But one of the things that happened, and this is very relevant to a case you're about to start hearing about, a medical kidnapping case involving a soldier from Fort Bragg. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I bring that up is because I made a connection between that soldier and his wife, who've had a child wrongly taken, no doubt about it. And it's a true medical kidnapping. I talked to Terry LaPointe about it earlier in the week. And this situation, I connected the grandmother of the twins with him to talk about something. And what blew his mind was when the grandmother let him know that because I was explaining to them how important it was to get the file, get the clerk of court's file, and how they wouldn't let him do it. And finally, they ended up with a lot of it. But here's what came out with the grandmother letting him know. And he's like, I can't believe this is happening. And this is a very, very intelligent man. This is a soldier. He's fighting for our civil rights. But he could not believe that in her case, she was able to get the case notes. And this is where a lot of your legal abuse syndrome comes from, because they know what they're doing is wrong, no doubt. But in the case notes, this is a DSS case note, in there was, in the social worker's own, there were several things, but one of the big ones was that, I'll give you two. One was that they did not have reason to go take these two twin girls from the grandma, grandpa, and the father. And the mother had every other weekend visitation, but it wasn't her weekend. And they wanted to take them on a Friday, just as we know. And just like, by the way, when they took the soldier from Fort Bragg's child, it was on a Friday. Just like when they took Cheyenne, it was on a Friday. But they didn't have a way legally to go do this, and they didn't have any paperwork. So what did they do? What they did is, in her notes, she said, we have contacted the mother, and we're having her to go and take the children from the school. And that's in violation of a court order of custody, people. Let me just tell you, that's a social worker, in her own words, putting in the case notes, DSS case notes, they're called. And if your lawyer's not getting them for you, you need to get them. This will lessen the legal abuse syndrome on you, because once you have facts, you stop feeling like something's wrong with you. But furthermore, in there, just like all of us, you have to go take these psych evaluations, everything else. Well, after they had these people do a CME, or a report on CMEs, CFEs, psych evaluations by another doctor, when DSS of Lee County received that information back, that report from the doctor, the psychologist, the social worker looked at it, edited it, and sent it back to the doctor to be redone with her edits. Now think about this. This is a medical professional being told by a social worker with no experience in psychology or anything else, having him to rewrite a psychological order and report on a whole host of people. So he sends it back to her. What do they do then? The supervisor of the social worker of Lee County then does some more edits and sends it back to the doctor for a second go round of edits. And you might think that cannot happen. Yes, it does happen. And that's what's frustrating to the parent, when you find yourself in a situation of disbelief. And you'll hear people say, oh God, you wouldn't believe my case is the worst case ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is to you. But I'll assure you, no matter how bad you think you've seen in your case, there are other cases that are worse and more intense. And the harder the people have fought legally in a good way to fight back by saying, you know what, hey, Your Honor, I've finished all my case plan. I've done everything on my case plan. I've never tested negative or positive, on a drug test. I've never done anything wrong. I've completed my parenting classes. I've done everything with the domestic violence program. I've made every visit on time. I've never been late. I don't have any criminal history whatsoever. I'm paying my child support. I'm doing everything right. Doesn't matter. So you wake up in this state of cognitive dissonance where you think things are one way. You think there's a set of protocol. And let me tell you, I overthink this situation probably a lot, but when you're involved in this thing, you've done everything that you can. You found out now, oh my God, and you question a social worker, and they will inevitably say this, and your attorneys will say it if you're in family court or custody court. Well, every case is different. Now, I want to tell you something. That's a catchphrase you need to watch out for. Every case is different. Yeah, there's a different mother. There's a different father. There's a different child. There's a different family dynamic. But here's this whole thing of every case is different is true and false. Because no matter what the case is, the law is the law. The law is the same. The DSS protocol is the same. The DSS manual is the same. The Constitution is the same. North Carolina, it would be NCGS 7B. It's the same. So you can't, they'll use this as a reason. And the reason I'm saying this is because Bud brought up, and every time we do, somebody say, oh, they think it's a game. It is a game. It's a chess game. You got a chessboard set up, but you know what? There's one set of rules on that chessboard. And as long as the rules are laid out there, then we should know how to quote unquote play the game. I don't like using the word, the game. But what they do is they say, oh, every chess player is different. Well, what does that mean? That means I can just take your knight whenever I want to. What? Yeah. My rook is taller than your knight, so I took it. Well, where did that rule come in? Randy. Hold on. Every player is different. But the game is the same. The rules are the same. And if people would tell us the rules in the beginning and say, look, this, and this needs to happen, it should take you no more than 3 months to get this accomplished and everything will be over. You know what? It'd be different. But it's like going to the dentist's office. You're sitting out there. Nobody tells you anything. Nobody comes out, gets any information from you. And they take you back there with no Novocaine and just start pulling teeth. Wait a minute. I didn't even, every man's different. I just go in there and start rooting, buddy. See, when you're told up front that we're going to do this, we're going to give you Novocaine. We want to make sure we don't do anything to hurt you. It's going to be a little sting whenever we do this. And you have a good nurse and doctor. They walk you through things so you don't feel so anxious. They walk you and help you through it. And they say, it's going to hurt for 3 to 4 hours really intensely. So we're going to give you 3 Percocet to carry home to handle that for today. And then tomorrow you're going to rinse with salty water. And in a week's time, you're going to be feeling good and up and going. You have a picture of what's going to happen. That's an honest picture. So you know the expectations are set in advance. But with DSS or family court, you walk in there and you fully believe, I'm going to walk in there and the truth's going to come out and justice is going to happen. And it may not be pleasant for any of us, but it'll be over with. And then 4 or 5 years later, or in case of Neil, you're like 7 years down the road. And it's like, what the hell happened? Everything is it. So in my mind, Jay, and I'm no expert on legal abuse syndrome, but to me, that's what creates the anxiety and the stress and the hypertension. And I have watched people that were great people. And I've watched them mentally, psychologically, physically, socioeconomically, and financially go right down the tubes and they were good people that until they were under this, there was no indication whatsoever that they could lose it like they do. And then they have lost it. They're seeing the helicopters. They're seeing DSS is eating babies. For example, we saw that yesterday. They're taking babies and eating babies. Now, I don't believe that DSS is eating babies. I really don't. I don't think anybody that I know of has seen a baby be eaten by DSS. Now, if they did it, those people needed to be beheaded. Sent to ISIS for training over there or whatever if you got DSS workers. But I've seen people that you wouldn't imagine because of the stress and the pressure, and then their health go to pieces, Jay. Their health, not just mental health, but physically, they fall apart.
There's a definite tie-in, if I could, Jay, definite tie-in to those sort of stresses and anxieties and physical problems. You can look that up anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I think of too, as Randy was speaking, what he was alluding to and what he was telling people, I say it to my wife all the time. We always laugh. I hear it all the time. The court, they act like they don't care. The other side, they act like they don't care. Do you ever think maybe they're not acting? That's the first thing you have to come to terms with. And the second thing, what you can't do, because if you realize that a lot of the time, the other side may not care. The first thing we do is go, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. And that's not the case, Jay.
Right. 100%.
I threw that out there, Jay, because I thought you froze up on me. So I was doing a little test to see if I froze.
No, I'm good. I think 100%. I think that's the reason. And in talking with a few attorneys lately, I put out a message that talked about how we needed to kind of change our terminology. And this is where I'm going to go with this. And I came out with this whole idea and I'm going to be working with several people here pretty soon on a bill for legislation that has to do, and we're going to basically call it the Future of Our Children's Bill. And that's basically what it's going to be called. And I'm going to work with several people here so we can take it to all 50 states. But we're going to change a lot of the terminology. See, for 40 years, people have been fighting this fight, and we've been saying we want 50-50 custody. We want parents to have their rights. We don't want to have them taken away. But all of that comes with a stigma. And the stigma is that we're a bunch of dads who don't have 50-50 custody, who have hardly any time with their children, and we have to pay excessive amounts of child support. That's always been the stigma, is you're just trying to get out of paying child support. Take the stigma away by saying, hey, look, we don't necessarily want co-parenting. We don't want shared parenting anymore. We don't want to do that. We want to create parental partnerships, meaning I may not necessarily like you because you're my ex, you may have cheated on me, whatever it may be. Okay, it is what it is. But you and I are partners in this because we created a child. And that child, we are both co-owners or co-parents of that child. So this, if we're going to look at it from the angle of this is a business, which it is, it's a $50 billion a year industry business. Okay, if that is the case, and we're joint owners of this child, okay, that has to be the basis for the business, right? If we're going to look at this from an adult angle and an adult aspect, then let's create a partnership that says, hey, look, it doesn't matter what the custody is. If the child wants to come over to my house tonight, that's great. If the child wants to come over to your house tonight, that's great. And we both partner in this thing and we work together for the best interest of the child. Now, can that be done in every case? No, it can't be done in every case. There are parents out there who are not acting like parents. They're still in their basement doing live stream videos. We know this. There are parents out there who are guys who are still at 50 years old in their mom's basement playing PlayStation. I mean, there are situations like that. We know that. But for two grown adults, two grown parents that want to take an active role in their child's life, why not come up with a term of parental partnerships, in which we create this situation where we say, hey, look, we're going to do what's in the best interest of the child as an adult. It doesn't matter what if we got to say, okay, well, grocery shopping this week, I can't go to Walmart and get my groceries. I may have to go to the Dollar Tree and get my groceries for $1 a piece. But as long as I have the money to pay for my daughter's prom dress, I'm putting my child first. That's what it takes. And I think that really is showing legislators, hey, look, these are people who are acting educated, acting responsible as parents. These aren't people that are just trying to get out of their duties of supporting their offspring. My goal in this is to support you in the fact that I don't believe that there should be government interference in your lives unless, and in your parenting, unless there is a situation in which you have neglected, actual documentation of neglect, actual documentation of abuse. And I believe that needs to be created through an emergency order in which to do what they need to do. But I don't believe in beating down your door unless that child is in imminent danger or harm. We've seen police officers who have acted with CPS who have broke down doors at 1 a.m. in the morning to do a health and welfare check on that child when there was no real imminent danger or harm to that child. We have a situation where the court is abusing those powers, and that's why we are having the issues that we're having with legal abuse syndrome. We have a lot of you that are experiencing this. You are terrorized, literally terrorized when you walk into a family court. Your heart gets racing, you get sweating, you can't control yourself. Some of you make sudden outbursts in the court or yell or scream at the judge. You cannot win a case that way. You will not be respected in a courtroom. And I know Randy can tell you this for a fact. I know you've been in so many court cases, and some of them you've had to testify on the stand for. Okay, Randy, what would happen if, let's say it was your case, what would happen if you got up and you started screaming at the judge, hey, look, you're violating my constitutional rights, blah, 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 blah. What would happen to you?
If you did, they're going to take away your visitation if you have any. They're going to send you for more psych evaluations. They're perhaps going to get a restraining and a gag order on you. And you're going to hurt your case. You're going to create an adversarial situation. Look, let me be really blunt with you. When you walk in there, it's already adversarial. It's like paying to go to the circus, and everybody else knows their act. They perform the same act day after day, year after year. They're good at it. They're very good at it. You're the only one footing the bill, but you're the one that's sitting in that hot seat. And I'm going to tell you, folks, this is the thing I learned with helping a lot of people. You will have a person who you truly believe in. You believe them, their confidence level is through the roof. They believe that once they get on that stand, they're going to be Matlock. They're going to be Johnny Cochran. They're going to be the lawyers they see on Fox News or whoever else. And it's just going to come out with the beauty of Homer in the Odyssey as they speak these words, and they're going to stick to what they're supposed to get in evidence. And they get up there, and my God, it looks like Peter Pan flopping all around, and they're just awful. They're absolutely awful. So the pressure of the court system is going to change you when you get there, and it's going to make you feel like you can get away with doing something. But if you do, it's going to hurt you. And in fact, this week, and I don't want to bring up too much about it, but there's several situations going on. We were supposed to have the Watchman the other night, and there's a group of ladies, it's up to 15 right now, who have been traumatized for one reason. And the reason was they were so pressured and so coerced by family court. Most of them are custody cases. They're just custody cases. And they were so distraught and so beat down that they turned to a man named Alan Corman. And this guy's a paralegal out of New Jersey. And I'm giving you a real life example because real life hits home. And I'm doing it because this Sunday we're doing this show, Come Hell or High Water. This is a man who has then further abused them with atrocities you will not believe, but he's taken their money, several $1,000s each, then threatened them, then cost them, one lady, he cost her $250,000 in child support. You're going to hear about this Sunday, and we're going to show you the evidence of it because he beat her down so much after he was, quote unquote, helping her. And that's where we're trying to help you to steer clear of there's an aunt and an uncle in Louisiana. You're going to hear about them. You're going to hear about them soon on a live where you're going to see a victory. You're going to see the victory. I'm telling you now, we're not like the others. We tell you what we're going to do, and then we show you. You know, we tell you, and then we show you. But generally, the way we do that is the reverse. We don't go out here telling you we're going to do stuff and then forget all about it. Like we're going to arrest judges, we're going to do this, we're going to show you an affidavit, we're going to opt in. That's foolish. We really show you what we've done and then tell you. They tell you and don't ever show you anything. But the reason I say that is because this aunt and uncle actually talked to me, and they said, and this is on a newborn baby that's just been born. This baby's not 5 days old right now. And they said the thing that's going on here is we were so coerced and so scared and so at our wits' end that we were about to follow what two particular idiot advocates were telling them to do. And you'll see it. What were they telling them to do? They were telling them to pretend to be the father of a child, go in and falsify affidavits, hijack the child, kidnap the child, leave the hospital with the child, and if they get caught, it will be covered under what they call the law of necessity. The law of necessity. Now, and let me tell you something. You may think, well, that takes some balls to do that. No, that takes some really poor thinking, folks. And I understand it. Believe me, these 15 women, my heart goes out to them. Not because they were just foolish women who went crazy and decided to trust somebody, but because this guy was selling the cure for cancer. And in their mind, they had the death sentence. Their children have been taken, for God's sake. They are hurt. They are beating. They're like finding somebody hungry on the street and then giving them garbage to eat. You understand? They're hungry. They'll eat anything. There's a saying, there's a little meme that was out there, and it was like, we all eat lies when we're hungry. So think for a minute and back up. Reach out and do a little more research before you jump and do something silly like Jay is saying in a courtroom, because whether you get up there and say it, or you have idiots filing bloody fingerprints, affidavits that don't matter, foolishness in court, or acting like they've got the golden ticket or the Chris Halliday clause, Donald Trump made me your lawyer fantasy. It doesn't matter. It's going to hurt you in there. And I understand, because of the legal abuse syndrome, you're down, you feel beaten. You know, it's like the reality is hit, because you come home, you're at an empty house. You don't hear your kids. You don't get them ready. You don't do bath time. You don't do the normal things that you did. But look, these things are going to happen, and I'm telling you, folks, with a rare exception of Tessie Wrights, who was a winner within 3 days of us talking to her, and a couple more, it rarely is going to be the case that your case is over with fast. And I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the best thing I can tell you is you need to buckle in, look long term, expect a protracted battle, and don't. Further on when we get into this tonight, I want to talk about the difference between reacting and responding, because there's a difference. I'm just saying that because what Jay's talking about, somebody getting in a courtroom and bolting out, boisterous things and being crazy in a courtroom, that's reacting. You do not want to react. You want to respond. And I'm going to tell you, it's harder than you think.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead, Bud. I know you're chomping at the bit there.
Yeah, well, Randy, you guys always bring up so many great points. I got to write things down in the middle so I remember. Now, with what Randy was saying, too, again, the old saying, guys, it sounds too good to be true. It usually is, right, guys? And also, Randy alluded to and it's easy to do when we're hurting. If you don't have your child for whatever the case is through family court, we want to look for something that's going to get us our hearts back and take the pain away. And Randy talked about too, and we've talked about before, this will drop the biggest and the baddest. So for the people out there that, wow, I feel like I've dealt with things and I can't deal with this, and I see it all the time. Be more concerned and more hurt if you didn't have those feelings. Yep. Be more worried about yourself if you didn't care. So that being said, you go, okay, you have to make that plan. And again, what I alluded to earlier was people that are going to try and break you. And when I said about, being careful of people that maybe aren't acting like they don't care, they just don't care. And about how you can never believe that is a reflection on you, someone's lack of seeing your importance or your worth, right? Someone's, their distinction or vision of what you should be or what you are or whatever, their views are mean nothing. Mm-hmm. So that being said, you have to keep yourself empowered. So also in saying that, the biggest and the baddest will be dropped by this. So again, if you're out there, don't feel bad about that. This is the hardest thing that you'll ever experience. And Jay, we're fortunate that we deal, and Randy too, we deal with people from all walks of life. I've seen it. Fighters, cage fighters. Wow, you kick the shit out of the world and I can't get out of bed. That is normal when you can recognize it. And Randy talked about that too. And I'm glad he brought up the response versus reaction. There's a huge distinction. Reactions generally you can't think about. Reactions are weak because reactions give other people the control and not you. Thank you. They give other people the control. Reactions, hey, we say too, Jay, be selfish, right? Think about how this is going to help you in the future before you do something.
Yep.
How is this going to benefit me in the long run? And if it's not going to benefit you or what you're trying to accomplish, always think about if you're fighting for your kids, how is this going to get me closer to my child? Mm-hmm. And if it's not, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Be selfish. Focus. People start to throw those buzzwords too. Wow, you haven't really been spending much time with me. It sounds very selfish. Yeah, you're fucking right. It is.
Yep.
I'm taking care of me. And you go after your goals. Don't let anyone else fuss you from that. Or again, make you believe that you're less than. Because again, if I want to break you, I'll be candid. If I want to break you, I'm going to research what you love. Mm-hmm. I'm going to research, and most of the time it's people's children. If you have some people, a lot of times material things will get to the core of what someone loves. And most of the time, it's going to be your kids. That's where you can be broken. And that's why people a lot of times in the underground things will go after things like that. Why? Because it's where your heart's attached. So again, be happy that you have those feelings. And then you go, okay, what am I going to do about it? That doesn't mean, yell into the world. Again, we all say it too, and it's not making a mockery of it. I have heard a million times, and I can tell you right now, people can go to Mike Whitney out there with the Father's Rights Movement, and he heard it from me years ago. When I went to him, oh my God, you wouldn't believe this case. And it was funny, and it wasn't insulting. Mike gave a little bit of a chuckle in the beginning of the conversation, and it's one of those, almost like, you have no idea what you're in for, kid. And he was right. He was unfortunately right. But so what you have to say is, it's comforting too to know that. It's bad in a way, wow, there's somebody out there like me. But it's comforting because, again, once you acknowledge what might be wrong within you, acknowledge what the issues are that you can fix. But again, if I'm going to go into court with you and I'm an attorney, I'm going to do certain things simply to see what I'm dealing with. I'm going to do to make you react or not. You react, I have you. You react, I have you. I'm going to destroy you in court as an attorney. Yep. I already know, because it's about your mindset. That's what people don't understand. It's how you react. So within 5 minutes, I'll throw some things out if I was an attorney, and I will in the future, believe me, and just to see what you're going to bite with. Again, that doesn't mean silver bulleting people. Don't be a scumbag attorney.
Yeah.
But just putting certain things to see what makes them tick.
Yep.
So again, do the opposite. Jay, quickly, do the opposite too, Jay, of what a lot of people expect. They're doing things, again, when someone's doing something, okay, and you go, wow, I know they're doing it to cause me to react. Does it sound friggin' too smart to go, I'm going to go react? Wow, you're like putty in my hands. Responding is different, as Randy eloquently pointed out. Reaction is insecurity. Name call, reaction. Or you can't do this. Right away, you're all done from the start, Jay.
Right. I think that's absolutely 100% correct. I'm going to go into a few things here. We've had Yaya McClain on twice, and let me tell you, Yaya will probably be on here, probably co-hosting it at one point in time here in the future, I'm sure. Yaya McClain, world champion boxer, twice, and he says family court system is the hardest fight that I've ever had in my life.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for remembering that.
Yes, and let me tell you something. I saw the man in DC. He spoke at the DC event last year. I'm sure he probably will be at it next year, or this year coming up. But I saw the man literally broken down in tears, not being able to see his child. That right there will tell you it will take the biggest, baddest, toughest man on the planet and reduce you down to shit.
Right, as a
That's
man,
what
Jay,
this is.
Yeah, it'll emasculate you. It'll shake you a lot of times, and it'll emasculate you if you're a man in ways that you never believed.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when you're going through that, go, okay, I'm going to take this as an honor. No, I say it to people all the time. It's hard to hear. Not everybody can, to the folks out there going through it, listen to me. Not everybody can handle what you're going through right now and live. Just be excited. Wow, there's something better on the other side. Like what's coming. There's no way these things would be put in front of you for you to knock over, because that's what you're going to do. Comes down to live or die, and you choose to live. Don't let anyone else kill you. And you make that choice. You go, okay, and you feed it. And again, I'm glad you brought up Yaya, because we need that black guy, as Yaya says.
Yeah, need that black guy.
We love Yaya. He's the best. And again, it's good. In terms of a physical stature, he's a badass MFer. And it's wonderful to see it pride. I saw it last year. People that want to go and look too, I believe he was at American People Share Parenting event in Washington, was where you're referring to meeting him.
Yep.
And Jay, almost every single man and woman on the stage cried. And it's, again, you know why too? You know what I saw a lot of there? Camaraderie. Clyde is, oh my God, I'm not alone. Oh my God, you too? There's empowerment in that. Go get to people that will empower you, that you can cry with. Jay and I've cried with Jay on the phone more than once. I've had tears with Randy. There's no shame in it. It's cleansing. Fix it, and then kick its ass.
Yep,
Jay.
100%. You know, and I think that there's also one major point that I want to get across as well. And that is, if you're going to beat this thing, I wear this hat all the time. It's this hat. Everybody wants to call this or make fun of it or say it's a pimp thing. No, this is a tribute to my grandfather. This is why I wear this. And my grandfather used to always say, you can defeat anything in life if you can do it with a sense of humor. And that is the greatest bit of advice that I've ever had. If somebody is dogging you, I mean, just absolutely dogging you in family court, smile, laugh, make it look like whatever. Because quite frankly, it's comical that you would even think that this hurts me, because this is not even an afterthought in the scope of how long my life is. So your opinion means not even that much.
Jay, remember the video that we did when we were about probably 6 months away from the Carter victory. And Allie and I did it. You go watch this video, and this is a damn true thing. This is how you win too. I ran my case pro se for about a year, and I kicked ass, I will say. And I have an attorney now that stays with me for a lot of other things. Steve, we love you, brother. But I'll say this, as the other side was trying to lambaste me in court. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. And I mean, he was trying everything to fluster me. You go watch the video. I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, what toppings of meat am I gonna get on my free meat pizza tonight? This meat lover special at Pizza Hut. What kind of pizza can I get? And I'm literally thinking that. I could care less what you think when it's done. Are we done here? Because short of me winning, I'm going home to figure out how to kick your ass next. I'm going to keep kicking your ass. I'm never going to leave. It doesn't matter what you say. What you say about me means nothing. I'm going to go home and I'm going to hang out with my wife and I'm going to eat that pizza. And when she walks by me, I'm going to grab her ass and I'm going to watch my movie. And it doesn't matter what you say or what you think about me. I'm going to keep doing it. For the people out there, same thing. What does it matter? Again, another attorney. Again, I don't know you. I'm out there, oh, John Smith, Bill, whoever, you're a garbage. He's this, he's that. And you want to bother you? Think about it. They don't even know you. Let them I always say, get to know me. Trust me, you'll have a lot worse to say. But come on, get to know me first before you just laugh at it. Remember, as we said, Randy hates to use the term the game. But in a lot of ways, if you look at it in that sense, you can defeat it better. If you look at it from the outside, there's nothing personal. And as an attorney, too, there are more scumbags, I think, out there, unfortunately, than good ones. We know a lot of the good ones. But that's how they look at a lot of their jobs. They don't look at it as doing the right thing. In fact, they look at how they can discredit you. Because if I can destroy you and get you to flip out, you're already done. Right. I've already defeated you, and I'll make you jump through every hoop in the world, and I can pretty much tell by your makeup and how you act if you're going to follow through. But I'm not going to do anything you say. Awesome, great. Keep up that attitude. I love it. Don't let anyone treat you like shit because that's what they're trying to do, guys.
Yeah, and I will say this: I know that what you're saying as far as the family court for sure, and I would even say NCPS and all those issues. I think the judge and the opposing counsel will try and get you to say things, make reactions, because they want to see and they want the judge to see, hey, look, this person is very volatile. What they do is very volatile. So when you are in court, here is my suggestion to you, especially if you have an attorney, if you can afford an attorney, pick a spot on the wall and look at it and ignore everything that's said. Every single thing that's said. That is my advice to you, because if you roll your eyes, the judge is going to see it. If you make a smirk, the judge is going to see it. If you jump up and you say something, the judge is going to see it. And you're looking very responsive and reactive when actually what you should actually do is to respond, like Randy is going to say here, because I know he's about to say it. Response as opposed to reaction, response as opposed to reaction. The difference between the two is all mental. It means that you have sat there and thought and deliberated, how is what I'm going to say be perceived? And I'll let Randy go ahead and take it from there.
Absolutely, guys. And whenever I say there's a difference between reacting and responding, this is what it comes down to. There's an acronym, SPR, and it's stimulus, pause, response. Now, that's what we have as human beings. We're able to pause in the middle. My little dog, he just came in. He's running around here. His ears are cold. He's happy to see me. Now, the difference between me and you and him is this. He loves me. He knows I'm his source of food and shelter and water and care and petting and everything good, playtime. But if I get up in the middle of the night and I'm walking and he's there and I step on his tail accidentally, I don't see it. That's the stimulus. Okay. That's something that's going to make something happen. The stimulus has happened. He's not going to pause and then respond. He's going to SR. He's going to leave the P out. He's just going to react and he's going to squeal or bark, or if you hurt an animal bad enough, unintentionally, a cat especially, because they're hateful. They're not like my wonderful dog. They're going to claw you. They're not going to take the time to say, wait a minute. Now, if I scratch his leg, I may not get my treat. I may not get my bacon strips. I may not get the food I want. He may not take me to the beach. He may not let me ride around with him. They just react. So when you're in a situation, and this goes for anything in your life, especially though when you're under the microscope of court, you're in a legal proceeding, a civil proceeding. So you're in there, you have to be able to respond. And that's where the word responsible comes from. You're able to choose the correct response. Now, think about this for a minute. So if you are able to choose the correct response, that means you're responsible. You're responsible. So when they come at you, and I always ask myself, and maybe it's because of being in sales and marketing, but I always ask, no matter what somebody says, whether it's on the phone or in person, and they say something, I'm thinking to myself, now, why is he saying that? Why is she saying that? Because I'm thinking about it at chessboard. I'm like, I know you're setting me up for some move you have coming, but why are they doing it? So instead of taking it personal and thinking this hussy, this hussy and this heifer had just called me this, that, and the other and accused me of something, I'm thinking, I know I didn't do that. I know I haven't done anything. I know I'm not guilty of being a religious cult leader or whatever else they accuse me of. And I'm thinking, now, why would they be saying that? And then I normally come to this conclusion because they have nothing else. So instead of playing into that, it's like, so you answer them back. Instead of giving them a question, you ask them one. So are you a religious cult leader? And they actually asked me that. And I said, are you really, are you accusing me of being Jesus Christ? I mean, and they're just sitting there like, what? But that's exactly what they're doing. And you got to think of a fun way. It's like you said with your grandpa, you got to find a fun way through this system so that when you leave it, you leave that meeting that day or that hearing, you're not all to pieces. And I'm going to be absolutely honest with y'all. When I'm sitting in a courtroom, whether I'm going to testify or I'm just court watching or back when it was my own case, my emotional battery bank and storage would be depleted like you had me running a marathon with cinder blocks on my feet. And the minute I would leave the courtroom and get home, I'd hit the couch. And it wasn't because I was running, it's because I was spiritually, mentally, and physically exhausted. And it's because you're in there with people that you can feel those vibrations coming towards you. And it doesn't matter how good you think you are, when you're in there, it's not normal, that feeling that you have in there. But you have to be able to choose to respond to things in there as though, hey, I like it. Put me on the stand. Get me right on up there and let me go. I'm revved up. I'm ready to go, whatever you're ready to go with, even though every fiber in your body is telling you to lash out. It is normal to do. If you're a woman out there, it's normal to take on the mama bear mentality. You messed with my cubs, I'm going to claw your eyes out. I understand that. But and this is the hardest part sometimes, working with people who are under legal abuse syndrome and under the pressure, is to tell them, I understand exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. And what I found was, you've got to do the abnormal, unnatural, unthinkable thing of letting that slide, getting back to your game, getting your evidence in there, and remaining cool, even though there is nothing that the creator put in you that says that you should do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Bud.
One of the things I used to do too, especially when I was going pro se, the other side would go and he would just try and name call and this and that. And they're used to people biting onto that. They're used to people, oh my God. Because most people, if they're called something, they don't want people to think that. Again, if you build yourself up enough, you don't care what people think. So what I would do when they would allow me to speak, I'd say, Your Honor, I actually am not even going to validate what he's saying with a response. It's so ridiculous. I'm not going to resort to name calling, Your Honor. I could call the other side grotesquely obese, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna play above board. I could call him really a leech ball bottom feeder, but I won't do that. No, what I would do is say, I'm not going to validate that. It's ridiculous. Be above it. It's ridiculous, Your Honor. I'm not even going to validate that with a response. I would hope that the other side would do enough homework to where if he could try and decimate me with anything, it would be facts as opposed to just name calling. If I wanted to go to grade school and call somebody a dumb head, I would. Let's get on with it. This is remedial. I'm not going to do this. Move it along, or I'm going to leave because you're all wasting my time at this point. Let's roll. You throw them off with being ballsy, but not just ballsy, smart. Homework done and unflustered. That's the key. Unflustered.
Yep, I agree, and I think that what Randy and you are saying is to be far from normal.
There you go.
And this
is he wants to do that, folks.
I love to throw that in there. But the humor of it all that I use is like taking what people say and just reversing it back, and the witty thing to do, and I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna give you guys a hint in court. You want to frustrate the judge? You want to frustrate the other side? Give one-word responses. That's it. If they put you on the stand, give one-word response. Yes, no, maybe. And
I think that's judge contingent and case contingent, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess Jay's right because a lot of times you can only hurt yourself the more you say.
Yeah.
Right, so sometimes
not only that, but then I had the other side, opposing counsel, ask me who I think I was and doing this, that, and the other that they were accused me was, and I said, who is it that you say that I am? That just blew it all right there, and they were so frustrated. They were red in the face, sweating, mad, livid. And not only that was the same time where I had the judge, and we'll say that was the same time where I had that judge who berated me for an hour on the stand and called me every name in the book, and was so literally ticked off. She said that everyone that you hang out in the movement with is nothing but a bunch of heathens. And guess what we play every single week for our opening song? Heathens. Absolutely. Heathens. So that's my humoristic response back.
Yeah. Again, even with that, I mean, I would try and get to the point when it comes to court. You know what I mean? As Randy said, and Jay said, when it comes to getting to the point, what I mean is don't let them waste your time with all that fluff. Because that's exactly what they're trying to do. If I can bullshit you with fluff and keep you from the actual issue, and you fall for it, again, as Randy said, the second you start going mental, you're going for 3 other mental evaluations. You're going to have to jump through these other 8 hoops. And a lot of times they have no intention of giving you what they say in the end because they don't think you're going to actually do it. So again, what I did is how I won joint legal custody is every time there was a violation, again, when it came to not dropping off my son, who I didn't see for a long time, I filed, it ended up being 14 contempt orders, asking for orders of contempt. I filed 14 filings of contempt. None were enforced. I went and what I did is I kept plugging in. My point to this, I started to make their own game, them make a mockery of themselves. And so I would say, hey, it's not, I'm not the one pissing on you. You're pissing down your own leg. You're making an order. These orders are not enforced. Again, it's your own order. So you're not enforcing. So you're saying your own word is weak. Again, I'm not the one who's minimizing you. You're minimizing yourself. So again, when you start to jump through all those hoops, again, there's people out there I know, I've filed 30, and there's horror stories every day. But again, it's empowering too when you go and do those things. They should be following through. A lot of times they don't. Trust me, I know from experience. But what I did is I stayed persistent. Again, Faith, in the end, what it was with me, and my wife can concur with this, is I know they got sick of seeing me. I was at the courthouse at least twice a week for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. I was every Monday morning when an order wasn't followed, I was at the courthouse and I was there before they opened the doors. I get to the point where hey, bud, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Everything, it didn't matter. I walked in, they'd know just who I was, and most of the time they'd go, ugh. Because it wasn't that I was rude, but I would not put up with bullshit. Don't think you're going to flim-flam me. I'm the best bullshitter in the world.
Right.
You're trying to stroke me. I don't need a stroke job. I need your phone. So again, that's what you make them make a mockery of their own word, as opposed to them, oh no, if you do this, we're going to do this. Okay, sure, I'll do it. Then you do that. Again, keep doing what you have to do. And the biggest thing before we get to the shoutouts, Jay, and last point is, remember, this is 2019, the day of social media. When I'm gone, my boys can go back years and see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. And again, I always think of that too. It's not about being honest, but again, what do you want your kids to see? What legacy do you want to leave? Well, my father, my mother was loving. And wow, look at how they fought. And you know why? Because that makes them feel worth it. I was worth it. They fought through everything. They fought and died. I'd rather, trust me, if I said many times, and it held true, if I die during this fight, believe me, my last words whispered will be my boys' names with a smile. And I kept that up, and guess who won? And for me, there were times where I felt it was impossible. I did. So the people out there where it seems like there's no way, wait till tomorrow. It can all change, Jay.
Yeah, 100%. And I tell my story, and I tell it not because I'm trying to brag or anything, because honestly, it's not something to brag about. I mean, really, it's not. I am a disabled veteran, went through this whole court system. It became so absolutely asinine, the amount of child support that I was paying based on my VA disability alone. I believe I was making $1,824, and my child support was $3,680 a month. So imagine that you're in the hole before you even do anything. It was that absolutely asinine. I became homeless for 2 years. I lived on a park bench in Decatur, Illinois, one of the roughest towns in Illinois to live in. And I'm living on a park bench. The thing that kept me going through this was having a picture, one of the pictures like this of my kids. And I kept it in my pocket. And anytime that I thought of giving up, I thought of them. And I thought of one particular thing that I always used to have, this thing that I would say to my daughter. And I have a tattoo on my arm, which I'm not sure if you can see it very well. But that tattoo I did myself. And it says exactly what my daughter says after every time I ask her on the phone or in person. I say, "How much does Daddy love you?" And she says, "Always and forever, no matter what." That was tested to its core. But your kids love you. Do not give up on them, because they would not give up on you.
Absolutely, Jay. And thank you for saying that. For people out there, I don't care if your child is saying, "I hate you. I never want to see you again. I hope you die." Because believe me, as a child, I said it to different biological. I had 10 different parents total, with step parents included growing up. And I can tell you right now, I would say, "I hate you. Never call me again." To my I hope you die. I'd hang up the phone and I would fall. I'd say to myself, "Don't give up. Don't. Please, God, don't. Believe me." They want to see. They're being told that you're going to give up on them if they are. If they don't love you. They don't care. And so the child is trying to see if it's true. Again, it's not anything to prove to anybody else, but it is to yourself and to your child that they're worth it. That it's bullshit. And how do you prove that it's bullshit? Not by saying it's bullshit. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm not going to say a word, but you're going to watch. And again, give your kids that legacy of love and self-worth, because the people out there, you're worth it too. The parents that think they're nothing, you're worth it. And there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you're all here. You don't even know that you could, with it, things happen so fast, you could be the one to change the world. And I hope you are, Jay. I hope you are. And the people out there that are trying to avoid the pain, that's, again, they say where character is built. Stop trying to avoid the fucking struggle and kick ass.
Yeah,
love it all.
you just got to accept where you are in life and keep fighting forward. So we're going to move on here with our last part of the show. I'm going to give you a little bit of time. I know Bud Vino asked for a little bit more time here for shout outs this evening. So Mr. Bud Vino, go ahead and take it away.
Whoa, thank you, Jay. I did. I reached out to Jay and said, we're going to need a little extra time. I got a lot of New Hampshire shout outs tonight. First of all, I want to give, first and foremost, a shout out to my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss. And Randy Davis, April 2nd, 2019, coming up on almost the depressing part of the show, Jay, the last 10 minutes before 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that being said, thank you, Randy, Jay, Neil, Shelton, who wrote, we know he is out there watching. Neil will be back. We love Neil. And to everyone working on the show, and I want to give a big shout out to Maria, who works for the show, a very kind act toward my family and I. We love Maria. Everybody out there working for the show, Melissa, Chris, MJ, and we know we've got Dana Lawton out there, that we have a variety of people working on and for the show, and for that, we're thankful. That being said, some New Hampshire ties. Now, I got to give out first and foremost that a friend of mine who's going through a big battle right now. Her name is Robin Socha. Maiden name is Robin Percy. Robin Percy, when I moved from Nashville, New Hampshire to Ware, New Hampshire, was the first female friend that I made, and was so kind to me. Very energetic personality since we were 14. Always the type of person that you want to be around. Why? Because she makes you feel good. She makes you feel good. She's a caring, loving person, and she's going through a battle right now, and she's facing it head on, which doesn't surprise me at all. But I want to give a shout out to her because your strength is palpable. Your strength amazes me. It doesn't shock me knowing you, but it amazes me, and I can't wait to see you kick this thing's ass. I love you, kid. Keep pushing. Andrea Tuttle out there. Andrea went to high school with Andrea, and she has a big celebration this month, boys. It's called Self-Empowerment. I hope, Andrea, and I know that you're going to kick April's ass as you did March's, Andrea Tuttle, another high schooler. There are so many people out there. I've got her maiden name was Turcott, Ann Turcott, now Angelinus, I believe in Goffstown. Just finished her undergrad. I believe in behavioral health. She's going to be going on for a master's. I could be wrong about the behavioral health, but I know it's in that field. Amazing, these people from high school that have come up. Again, give a shout out, as always, speaking of high school, to my man, Shane Jubert, Rhiannon Healy, formerly Rhiannon Piper, everybody out there from high school, from John Stark Regional High School. We love you, class of 94, before and beyond. So everybody out there, Heather Kayana, another New Hampshire girl I met quite a few years ago, going through a personal battle, but it looks like she's making her way out of it. And I'm so proud to see. I see these things that people think are little, these steps, these battles that we see people go through every day. So it puts things in perspective for all of us too, because no matter what, it's like my stepdad used to say, no matter what, there's always someone bigger and badder. And no matter what out there, there's someone who's defeated it, or you're giving inspiration to someone. So for those folks that I mentioned, you give me inspiration every day. You're an inspiration to everybody out there. BBC, my Brook Village crew, Nashville outside of Boston, John Mondu as usual, Aaron and Himalaya Roberts, all the Roberts boys out there, all three of them. Mrs. Roberts, Mr. Roberts, love you. Everybody from my BBC, Tammy Clay, we got Kelly Parker out there outside of Mass. She's out in Manchester. There are so many people to thank. And again, whoa, Jay, I almost forgot my first lady, my lovely wife, Allison. I love you, baby. And to my biggest, bestest buddy, Carter, I love you, Daddy loves you. And to my littlest best, who I'm going to admit is looking right at me. Toward the end of the show, he looks right at me because he can't wait till then. He celebrates with me, high fives, gives me a hug. And then we have what we call a buddy night, where we hang out and spend some time together and snuggle and laugh and kiss each other and play games and be nut jobs. And it's great. So everybody out there, shoes up. It's not over till you say it. So like, Jay, and I ain't heard no bell. Get up and go get him. Thanks, boys.
Oh, absolutely. He gets the wolf this evening, my brother.
The
All
wolf.
right. So we got Randy Davis. Go ahead, brother.
Good God, I think he's pretty much covered everything. And I had messages coming in. I had Brian Kenner trying to call me while I'm live. He obviously is not watching the show, which I might have to talk with him. But I want to give a shout out to Dana Longhorn. She's fighting a battle. Mm-hmm. She's a warrior. She's going to do well in this battle, and she's going to overcome this. I want to thank Chris Odom, everybody else who is really doing things to help people. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to a giant warrior who's just a small little girl. Okay. And that's Tessie Wright. I give her one because years ago, 4-year case with DSS. She goes on Cheyenne's Corner, my daughter's show on Future of Our Children Radio Network. 3 days later, her case is done. Why am I bringing her up now? Because shout out to Robert. That's her son who's with her along with the other kids who's with her and enjoying his birthday. So it's a big shout out. Happy birthday to Robert. And he should know he's got a mama bear warrior like no other. This is a success story, folks. I'm saying this, and also to Sarah Crow. She's fighting. She's a social worker who was terminated in Pender County, North Carolina for doing the right thing. A shout out to the Louisiana aunt and uncle of a newborn child. They're going to go live. We're going to show the victory. We're going to show how it worked. This is people who need need prayers and need to be upheld right now because they're winners. They are winners and they're struggling. Shout out to the couple with the newborn baby in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They are these people. I'm so proud of them and what they're doing and how they're staying strong. Folks, you're going to see. I want to leave you with a message of hope. You saw last week we said before the show, hey, we're going to show Melissa McDonald walking into Wake County Superior Court with an ankle monitor on, and you're going to see her walk out without one. Mm-hmm. You saw it. You saw it. You're going to see another big victory in that case this month. You're going to see one with the Louisiana folks this month. And we're going to start showing you more things as much as we can possibly do without jeopardizing or in any way exploiting a bad situation and making it worse. I just love everything that we're doing here. These are not easy to do, these shows, folks. It hurts. You have to study a lot of bad things. You have to hear a lot of bad things from people that are hurting. You feel their pain. You acknowledge their pain. But I'm telling you, you can win. You can make your life better. You can come out of the court better than you went into the court. Yes, you'll be forever changed. Yes, you're going to have some other issues going on. The reason I say that, I also got to plug the Watchman for this Sunday because I'm getting messages right now from the guy. And I can't see what they are except little pieces, but Alan Carmen is sending me messages. And a shout out to the 15 people who brought me the information you have. And he's saying, basically, I think from the little pieces I'm seeing that I thought you didn't go out after people without having the information. But I've seen enough that he's got some answers to give. And I'll give him an opportunity to answer the questions that I have for him this week before we do the show. But Alan Carmen, right now, the cards are stacked against you, brother. I'm seeing it. And what you're doing to these people, you should be disgusted at your damn self. So if you think I'm going to go easy on you, you're full of shit because I'm coming. I'm going full on Watchman on you. If you got a legitimate reason to show why you took the money and did the other things, fine. But you're going to have to bring it to me. The burden of proof is now tilted to you because these women have provided exactly what they said they were going to. It's something you don't want to miss this week on the Watchman, folks. So Absolutely. That's my shout out. Love y'all. You can be winners. And Brian, I'll call you in a minute. The rooster.
You got the rooster, my friends. All right. So I will say this here. I want to give a big shout out to Bud, Randy, Neal. Big shout out to Yaya McClain because I'm going to be asking him very, very shortly here to be our backup co-host. So he can officially know this right now. We needed a black guy on here. So we're
the black guy.
You know.
We are. And he's smart. And it's smart and funny. I mean, he's the total package.
Yes, absolutely here. And I will be getting with Tessie Wright as well after the show because I know she's amazing. I want to give a big shout out to Matt Ewing, who's out there who
Yay, Matt.
War on Corruption. He's done an amazing job out there putting out real facts, real information.
Yes, he has.
And he's not one of those guys who's just going to put out one side of the story. He's going to investigate both sides of the story, come to a logical conclusion on what that all entails. And we applaud that. That's what we ask all of our people to do. If you have not been out there, we do have the Future of Our Children's Video Network blog site. Go out there, type it in on Facebook, the Future of Our Children's Video Network blog site. You want to get on there because all the stuff on there is well vetted. When I say well vetted, that means 2 separate individual sources have confirmed the same exact information. That's how we do things here. We're not going to put out information that we don't know that is factually true. We've got to put out the right information, and you're going to get that on that blog site. We will be working with Randy, who has a supplier that we will be getting t-shirts out there for you. It could be the Future of Our Children's Video Network shirt. We could have a Far From Normal shirt. We could have the Watchman shirts. Those are going to be coming out soon. We could even have one of Neil Shelton's here coming out pretty soon. If you have not yet gone out there and got Neil Shelton's book, please do. Please do. It's an amazing book. I've already read a lot of it, and it is amazing. It's going to be very fruitful for you to go out there and check out that book. And I don't want to just come out here and start giving plugs left and right, but we're going to put out all of this stuff. Let me tell you, especially for the t-shirts and what we're doing with that, all of the funds generated from the t-shirts will go in to help pay for the Zoom broadcast that helps us broadcast this every single week. Okay, so those people out there that are saying, oh well, you're just putting out t-shirts to get money. No, we're putting out t-shirts to keep our show on the air. That's how we're doing this. Okay, big shout outs to the team behind the scenes. We've got some amazing people. Maria obviously does an amazing job behind the scenes. Dana, Chris, MJ, Cheyenne, Melissa McDonald, even give a shout out to Cheyenne Hayes, which I need to talk to her, Randy, here pretty soon because I may have her involved. Jesse West Sr. With Dad's Can Too. I will say that there probably will be some information about Illinois Fathers for Equality that probably will be coming out. I don't approve of you going out there to a parade, a St. Patrick's Day parade, and having your people drunk. That is not what I support, because you're out there representing parents that are trying to get their children's back. So let's be mindful of that. I hate to bring anything out like that, but it is true. If you're at a protest or you're at a parade, understand that you're representing parents out there who are trying to get their kids back. We're representing the children themselves and their rights. So let's be mindful of what we're doing. Next week on the Far From Normal radio show, you will see a story with Patrick Dottie. Those who are not familiar with that story, Patrick Dottie is a survivor of molestation and rape of John Wayne Gacy, who was a serial killer in the 1970s and 1980s. He killed a lot of people, and fortunately for this young man, he survived. But his survival story is only half of the battle. Okay, so when you hear this story, it will break your heart, and what he's gone through. So I will say that, and yeah, next week is going to be amazing. So you need to tune in. Do not miss that show. It's going to be amazing. So as we say each and every single week, signing off, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Yeah, quoting Indians.
Can you hear the wind that's howling through the concrete trees? Got you praying on your knees. In the face of danger we're all brave, till the gun goes bang, bang, bang. It's a cruel, cruel world. No mercy left, yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. It'll break your heart and burn you down, down, down. Don't ever doubt that it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. turn your soul to black if you let it in. So close the door, confess your sins. Oh, when I was younger, it was all roses. Now they're dead and gone away. It's a cruel, cruel world. No mercy left, yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. It'll break your heart and burn you down, down, down. Don't ever doubt that it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me out? Don't know who I can trust right now. Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me out? Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. It's a cruel, cruel world. No mercy left, yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. It'll break your heart.